Rome. No, it's all Yugoslavia, a fascinating of all that attracts the traveler to Europe. A land of 19 million people lies south of Austria and east of Italy across the Adriatic. There is Belgrade, the capital. Zagreb, the second largest city. Sarajevo, where Europe meets the Orient. Dubrovnik, the gem of the Adriatic. These and more in a land as old as Greece and Troy. Three times this fortress city has been destroyed in the course of its long history, but it blooms and flourishes with all the vigor of its people. This is Belgrade, the capital of Yugoslavia, in the heart of the Balkans, where the Sava River joins the Danube to make it blue and mighty. Belgrade's new air terminal, just a few hours from the USA by jet clipper. A city astonishingly new and immensely old. This was a town 500 years before the birth of Christ. Outdoor cafes suggest its leisurely pace. Tomorrow, says a national proverb, is wiser than today. Yugoslavia, a land slightly bigger than Great Britain, has been described as being masculine in character, strong, rugged, robust. Still, there are plenty of pretty girls. And both men and women share a national love for learning. They hunger for the written word, be it verse or the daily paper. Old men with portable scales make a typical street scene. If any single plant might say Yugoslavia, it is the humble pepper, paprika they call it, red, orange, and green. You see them everywhere. In Belgrade, the Tito Museum portrays the country's heroic past, and nearby stands a nation's memorial to its unknown soldiers. Yugoslavia proclaimed itself a nation in 1918. Its union of a half-dozen kingdoms and territories made it at once the largest country in the Balkans. A place, a time, and history. At this bridge in Sarajevo, halfway between Belgrade and the Adriatic coast, a student shot Austria's Archduke Ferdinand in 1914, a spark that lit a powder trail to World War I. Sarajevo's minarets and mosques in 5 centuries of rule by the Ottoman Turks. The faithful are called to worship several times a day. More Turkish than the Turks, visitors have said of Sarajevo. To see the markets, the fezzes, the people, and the mixtures remind you that in this country, Europe stands face to face with the East. 2 million Yugoslavs are Muslim, 5 million are Catholic, and 7 million belong to the Orthodox Church. Watermelons abound. The Yugoslav and his watermelon reminds one of a Frenchman and his loaf of bread. Near Sarajevo lies Mostar, the city on the bridge. A Turkish sultan warned the builder, If that bridge falls, you die. The builder was very, very careful. The bridge has stood for 400 years. Many bridges span the river now, and double-decker buses serve this gracious city of Mostar. But the Sultan's unique bridge dominates, a standing 90-foot challenge to daring young swimmers. Hot underwater springs swelling up from the bottom of the sea make Yugoslavia's Riviera. This is the Dalmatian coast on the Adriatic Sea. Its beauty, its wines, and its sunshine, all are incomparable. The golden white city of Dubrovnik has been called the loveliest sight on any seashore. A Christian fortress since the days of Constantine, its ramparts and towers and walls and houses have been gilded by time. It stood off the Turks, and it stood off the Venetians to remain independent for 1,200 years. There is a harmony to Dubrovnik. The native gray stone of its houses and streets, the reddish tiles of its roofs, have been mellowed and softened by age to give it the patina of centuries. Within Dubrovnik, one finds an incredible panorama of architecture, from the Renaissance and the Venetian Gothic to Roman Baroque. They're all here. One walks, dines, and dreams amid medieval settings, because this city has been intact through the centuries. Today, not even cars intrude. The wonderful waters of the Adriatic border three sides of Dubrovnik. One swims in this translucent sea from May until October. Nowhere under the sun is the bikini worn with as much savoir-faire, for the waters of the Dalmatian coast draw cosmopolitans from near and far, from Italy and Scandinavia, from Germany, France, and the United States. Long before the bikini appeared in the USA, it was accepted as a matter of course in Yugoslavia. South of Dubrovnik on the Adriatic lies tiny St. Stefan, once a pirate lair, today a magic isle for tourists. Completely unique. There's no other place like it in the world. The entire town is a hotel, an oddity in itself. The nearby Bay of Kotor makes a Yugoslav fjord. Guarding it from the sea are two small islands. The island on the left was built by sailors to erect a church of their own faith to match the one that stands on the other. Countless ships sail in and out of Dubrovnik. Regularly scheduled cruises go up and down the Adriatic. Tourist facilities are modern, very inexpensive, and rapidly expanding throughout Yugoslavia. More than 1,000 islands dot this coast. That one, Korčula, gave birth to Marco Polo. Sailing north, the resort island of Hvar, where the Greeks put a lighthouse 4 centuries before Christ to guide the fleets of Ithaca. The city of Split on the Adriatic lies below. Its name comes from the Latin palatum, which means palace. This city actually grew from a palace 16 centuries old. A palace so big it could easily cover 6 football fields. Diocletian, emperor of Rome, built this for his old age, the most sumptuous pleasure dome of the Roman Empire. The statue of Bishop Gregory stands before its walls. In the Middle Ages, this patriarch protected Christians. Diocletian had fed them to the lions. But ironically, it was the walls of Diocletian's fantastic palace, stretching here block after block, which saved 2,000 Christians from a massacre. And once behind the walls, they stayed, turned the palace into a city, and their descendants still live inside the walls. The largest entrance of the original 4 gates stands open and welcome. Corinthian columns and arabesques of stone flank the central courtyard. Children play on walls and floors constructed in the year 295 AD. Long ago, the emperor's mausoleum became a cathedral. A restaurant's tables and chairs cover the marble flagstones of the imperial. It took 10,000 men 10 years to build this palace. Every corner of the Roman Empire contributed some decoration. Egypt, to please Imperial Rome, sent a black granite sphinx that still gazes at the world. If one tires of walking around the largest palace on earth, one can stop for coffee in its courtyard. Ivan Mestrovic, Yugoslavia's greatest sculptor, learned to carve marble in Split. Many of his finest works grace a garden and gallery in the city today. Magnificent examples of a master's genius. Mestrovic taught for many years at Syracuse University and at Notre Dame. North of Split, a mountain lake overflows into the River Krka, plunging 160 feet towards the sea, one of the grandest cascades in Europe. Water and sunlight and the Plitvice lakes. Imagine a chain of 16 lakes, terraced by nature one above the other, and their waters falling into the next and the next. Yugoslavia has made Plitvice a national park, with all of its jeweled waters spilling down their flight of steps. mountain rivers rush toward the Danube. Their misty gorges gave rise to Slavic legends of love and death. The flowing torrents of this country provide terrific sport for canoeists and kayaks. The Yugoslavs are world champions at this. Great bridges and highways, part of the government's far-sighted road building program, aim to bring all of Yugoslavia's scenic wonders within easy reach of visitors. Variety provides the spice of life. Yugoslavia is varied indeed. Her countryside has more than color. It has fragrance. Her people have more than different histories and religions. They face different geography. School children learn to say, what is Yugoslavia? It is 6 republics, 5 nations, 4 languages, 3 religions, 2 alphabets, and 1 desire, independence. Almost anything grows in Yugoslavia's highly varied soils and regions. Paprika, pretty as flowers with essences of spice. Grapes grow well in Yugoslavia. Her wine, white and red, compare with the best in the world. And you can buy them at unbelievably low prices. You expect the unexpected in this country, from castles to cottages. And always diversity. Latin, Greek, Byzantine, Austrian, Venetian, and Turk have mixed with Slav to influence this nation. Variety in languages, customs, and peoples. Variety in attitudes, appearances, and cuisines. Variety in traditional dress. The lovely white headgear of these ladies identify them as married and from Dalmatia. Single women wear smaller red caps. One feels close to Greece, Turkey, Hungary, and France in the costumes of this country. One feels close to Austria and Switzerland in this land, too, where in the north it rises to meet the Julian Alps. The most famous lake in Yugoslavia lies here in the north, the Lake of Bled, just a few miles from Italy and Austria. Framed by forests, it holds a romantic island in its center. A castle set high upon the summit of a cliff dominates the shore of Lake Bled. For many years, a favorite resort of the knowing traveler. Lake Bled has fine hotels. You'll find it easy to sail to the island of Živa on gondola-like boats. Today, in this jet age, all Yugoslavia is easily accessible, merely an hour or 2 from most European capitals. Nature gave Lake Bled even another attraction. Invisible hot springs make the temperature of its water perfect for bathing. spectacular exchange rate for Yugoslavian money makes Yugoslavia one of the great bargain places of the world. This is Zagreb, Yugoslavia's second largest city. The brilliant tile roof of the Church of St. Mark brightens Zagreb's Gothic skyline with the city's coat of arms. A funicular takes you to the old city on the hill, but the lower town has the spacious avenues, the theaters and art galleries, the churches and the museums, and all of the bustle. Summer sunshine, so the shop windows are covered with canvas, but they expect the buyer to be curious. Good buys include handmade souvenirs, carpets of brilliantly dyed wool, and wood carving of all kinds. Nightlife. Dining in Yugoslavia provides a tremendous diversity. The specialties of a dozen completely different regions are on the bill of fare. Whole meals, including wine, often cost less than $1. The authentic Turkish coffee, a ritual in Yugoslavia. You drink it everywhere and at any time of the day or night. Smoked Dalmatian ham might make an entree to Serbian ragu, Bosnian pilav, Slovenian rishot, and Croatian duck. Singing waiters add sound and zest to these occasions. Yugoslavs find it natural to do what one feels like doing. Emotions of great sadness or joy lead them occasionally to smash a wine glass on the floor. Patrons pay double for the glasses when this happens, so this romantic practice finds fewer and fewer devotees. Still, poets write poems, lovers sing songs, high spirits break glasses, and waiters add up checks. The typical shake dance by the national folk dancers. In motion and in music, you get the intense vitality of this country. Yugoslavs like dancing, dancing of any kind. East meets West, boy meets girl, Broadway meets Belgrade. And after the dance, each day breaks beautifully in Yugoslavia, where time and sun and legend touch everything you see.